All right. Here we go, Nick. Some are saying this is the way you start off the second half.
Some are saying.
Some are saying. This is just one of those games that you win, I guess. Hopefully. I need to stop doing stuff like this. And then, this is how you get hate mail and people threatening your life if something crazy happens and it doesn't work out. It's all because of I was jinxing them. It is funny because I will say, Nick, I'm a semi-jinx guy. I don't really like testing fate, I don't really like poking the bear per se. There's really no reason to do it. But there's a weird line in the sand with me. It's almost like once it gets so far down the beaten path, then I don't believe in it anymore. Like, I don't think you can jinx at 8-2. But if it was 3-2 and you're out here bragging about how you won, that seems a little ridiculous.
Were you trying? We were trying to figure this out. I wasn't 100% sure. Did you think you were going to have your mic working?
My mic's not working?
I'm pretty sure that's your PC. I think you need to change that.
Let's fix that.
I think you need to change that in StreamYard. It's okay if it's not. I just didn't want you to think you were on something that you weren't.
No, you're a pro because
there you go.
You knew that I thought that I was talking to my microphone and I wasn't, and you knew that was wrong. So we just fixed it on the fly.
I mean, it's a significant upgrade. I think that
there's no doubt.
Yeah.
I also just out of my element tonight. I have had a really busy week. No excuses, but I think I'm just gonna have to wipe my computer completely clean and just start fresh because whatever happened to this computer isn't good. So I don't know. I wanted to blame my son for downloading Fortnite, but I'm starting to believe that maybe that wasn't the case. I don't know. So, but you're like, let me be clear for those that are watching this show. They're gonna be like, why is Trace looking incredibly far right? Nick, when I tell you that your face when I'm talking to you right now is every bit of 7 to 8 feet to my right, all the way over there. That's what it is. I really had to use the other computer that was next to this. Why I have another computer, it's complicated. But the point is, there's another computer right next to this one. So I was like, you know what? It's not working. I really want to have the nice audio and a decent video, even though I think it's crooked. Let me plug everything into that computer, get on the web browser, and log in through through it. So it works. The issue is I don't have a chat, which I guess I could pull that up on this computer.
Add a third one of the mix.
Yeah, good point. But yeah, it's just I don't know, just not in my element. Nothing feels normal right now.
The chat's currently trying to diagnose your computer problems for you.
Yeah, I bet they are. Every time you say that your computer has a virus, I already know the jokes. They're probably coming in.
No, they hadn't yet.
Haven't yet.
You opened Pandora's box though.
Well, yeah, I just assumed that's what they were trying to say. But I think I can pull the chat up here. Let's do that. That'll make this easy.
We are on Instagram right now.
Even better. Yeah, Even better.
I did throw us on Instagram since we had that ability.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I bet we have that. Do we have that ability to
I don't think we do on the
VMix?
The Big Daddy software. At least I haven't figured it out.
I'll just watch our stream. That's probably like 15 seconds behind what we're at, but at least I can kind of see your face kind of in front of me. That will make me feel a little bit better. Connor Joe, get you some Connor Joe.
Oh my God. Did you see that?
Oh, I seen it.
Oh, are you ahead of me?
I don't know, maybe. Times are changing around here.
Wow. Yeah. I think Reese Hines catches that.
Unplug it, plug it back in. Usually fixes it.
Trace, what you could do, you'd have to do this in a certain way. Yeah. You could open the StreamYard, but you have to make sure you mute the mic and don't have it bouncing, because then you'll have the really bad echo. as long as you mute. But you can open it on the other computer and see it.
Wow.
And then that would actually be the live feed, so you're not like seeing it.
I think this is a good challenge. I'm going to fight the fight tonight.
Right.
I'm going to fight the fight tonight. I still need to clearly put a what is that? I think it was Crosley Field picture that fell. I've yet to replace that. Shout out to the Sunday in Oakland.
Shout out.
And then yeah. All right, let's not make this interesting, Okay. Okay. I'm not getting over anxious about this. It's 8-3, one guy on, 2 outs. All right. Yep.
Jesus.
Well, the tying run is in the.
It's whatever beyond in the hole is.
Yeah, he's in the well.
In the well.
I don't know if that's a real thing. I just made it up.
Yeah, why don't you go take Connor Joe out while you're out there?
Yeah. We're bringing in Pagan. Love that. I actually kind of like that. Let him get his feet wet a little bit. He hadn't pitched in a week.
Yeah. This is of all the days, this is the best day to have to do this.
Yeah, just maybe we're hoping for maybe
5 pitches,
6 to 7 pitches at most, right? Like that's the goal here. I'm not saying that's how it's going to work out.
Pagan has walked a few first leadoff hitters.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have my booster sheet. Where's all my stuff at, Kirby? I mean, geez Louise, you'd have thought that this was my office. I'm gonna find that. I can't do a show. I mean, I can barely even.
I love the chat. They're gonna fix Trace's computer. Why burn Pagan here? I mean, I don't want this to get any hairier, and he hasn't pitched in a week, so yeah. I mean, there's 2 outs, so hopefully he comes in and throws 5 pitches, and it's kind of a nice little welcome to the second half. If he comes in and pitches tomorrow, he's not as cold. Yeah, I'm with Trace. I don't think this is the worst thing as long as he's able just to get this guy out.
They tell you to have kids when they're young. When they're young, you think, oh, man, you got to do all these things for them, and you just keep up. And you're like, man, this is tough. And then you get older and you realize, well, then they're capable of just doing things on their own. And then you're like, well, the decision-making process of things that they do are maybe worse than having to be up all night feeding them bottles. That's beside the point. We need an out. I'll lock back in, chat. Here we go. I kind of become a little lackadaisical on this game. Made too many assumptions. Nate Johnson said he got paid to fix PCs before his current career. So I'll tell you what I need. I need Nate Johnson.
He was asking for remote access while you were away. He wants to jump on right now and fix this thing.
Hey, I mean, there's really nothing to lose here. If he wants remote access, I can give it to him.
No, hey, look who popped into the chat. Oh, you can't see.
I can see. Who popped into the chat? I'm trying to look.
513 Caleb.
513 Caleb's in the chat. Got Optimistic John's in the chat. Buckeye, Troy, Nate, Dunny. Reds batter up. Got a couple supers already. Reds batter up. Reds batter up decided. I know I have a good idea of what happened there with Reds batter up. He threw the $10 super and thought he was going to put proudly brought to you by DSCCCCC Commodities, and he then had to do a $2 super to get that in there because he didn't get it in the $10 super. That's my guess. Pete Garden Tools, though. I love Pete Garden Tools. He is here, and he'd like to say just how Frosted Flakes are a second-half cereal, Tito is a second-half manager. And this ATHBTTR, and this half belongs to the Reds. Well, here's the thing. We got to get this last out.
There we go. Come on. Oh, Jesus. Oh.
No one scored there, right?
No. Bases are loaded. Our score bug, the Canadians are letting us down on that score bug. The bases are loaded, not just first and second.
Well, they'll get there. Let's get this out. No harm, no foul, you know?
Tie run is now in the hole.
Yeah, well.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What is happening? You know what, Trace? They say you do this long enough. They say you do this long enough.
Oh, no, Nick. No. No. I know this. I'm going to I'll be in the witness protection program.
Oh, no. I'll be
like that Coldplay. That's not who I think it is it? Oh.
Jesus Christ.
How am I supposed to think that that's what it's supposed to be? Nick, please. Please, Nick. I've learned my lesson, chat. I really have. I'm not doing it ever again.
I think this was a hide the chat kind of night, but I had to put them away. Where are you at? I'm at
2-1.
I just saw that pitch.
Yeah, I think we're pretty close.
You're slightly ahead.
I'm slightly ahead. I'll hold my emotions in. By about a second. 3, 2, 1. Okay, yeah, I'm like a second or two ahead. I'll hold him in for a second or so.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was a huge call.
Massive call.
I mean, in fairness, that could actually be a strike. Theirs isn't exactly accurate. Jeez. Yeah, McLean, you take that. Connor, you get the hell away from that, brother.
I've learned my lesson. I have learned my lesson. I have been scared to death. You know, like the best parenting tricks in the book. where, you've done something bad. Your parents make you think you did something even worse because worse could have happened, but it didn't happen, and they wanted to scare you. And I tell you, I've learned my lesson, chat. You can take it from me for the rest of the season. You will not hear me come on this show and declare any victories before the final out. There you have it. We'll be back. We got a show to do. We got started on the right foot in the second half. That's all that matters. We'll be back after this beautiful intro.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Line to right field. Goodness, the first run ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, here we go. Second half Reds on their way, and a second half Chatterbox Reds is right behind it. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Hopefully you had a nice little break. You enjoyed the home run derby. The best day of the summer, as Nick Kirby would say, with the Midsummer Classic. I will admit, really good baseball game, but not nearly the baseball game that I watched tonight and how good it is, because I don't really care about things that aren't important. I care about things that are important, which is this second half for our Reds. Nick, they had to get off to a hot start. Quite frankly, if they don't get themselves to 6-7 games over 500, I don't think that it's not so much whether they buy or sell, Nick. I just don't think they can make up the ground on all the teams that are in front of them to get them in a spot where they can realistically make the postseason. So do I want to get excited again? Do I want to believe again? Yes, I do. You watch a game like tonight, you see Connor Joe in right field, and you scratch your head and you think, man, I don't know, how are we going to be able to do this? But they found a way, and they got some big contributions from some guys that, quite frankly, they're going to have to rely on the rest of the season.
Yeah, the Reds fall down 2-0 early, and it's kind of like, oh, this is here we go again. I mean, the Reds have not started well at all to start the second half in recent years. But damn, they just they got Manaea out of the game and then just teed off on the Mets bullpen and got themselves a big win. But yeah, I mean, these games, these next really probably I would say 8 games. I feel like kind of by that Sunday night of the trade deadline, the week that starts the trade deadlines, when the Reds kind of have to have a decision which way they're going. So you're down to 8 games left to make your best case as to why the Reds should go in a little bit and buy to help this team, and also not capitalize on a seller's market. So big win tonight. Kind of just makes the whole weekend set up a lot easier when you win the first game.
Oh, always does. Obviously, when you more or less than anything else, and you get the win, that's important. But I also think you gain a little confidence. I mean, you find a way to kind of get off to a good start. You start believing. I think Will Benson and I know the rest of the players also kind of understand the business that is baseball. Will said, a few weeks ago that he understands the situation, and he hopes that they give them a chance to go in and try to make a run at this thing. What that ultimately means, I don't exactly know, but I do know this team needs some help. And in order for them to make the postseason, they're going to need to acquire probably 2 or 3, maybe even 4 pieces in my mind to get them in a spot where you feel somewhat confident. I don't even think it's possible for me to say I would feel good, but I also don't want to sit here and act as if this team has no chance to make the postseason either, to be very clear. So let's get into it. We got some super chats that we need to get to right now, and then we'll obviously do the beautiful box score recap presented by Nick Kirby. Michael Roth. This chat is super. Never hide us again, Nicholas. Maybe this super can help Trace get a new computer. Maybe. I don't know. I do know this. I need one. I am currently running off of a different computer. It's in a different location and trying to act like this is the computer that I'm using. It's very difficult, I must say. ATOBTTR, for those that don't know what that means, you might be new here, and that's fine if you are. And this one belongs to the Reds. Flat Rock 79 says that cap's top notch, Trace. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's sitting on my desk more times than not. There's always a random hat here and there that I leave behind. And I also want to say something else, really quickly. Not so much maybe a super chat, but I was having some wings at the local joint here in Hamilton. And you know what? Guy walked over playing a little bingo. I don't know if you can see that. Gave me a $10 voucher. Said, love the show. The Bastard Wise Dog. So there you go. The Bastard Wise Dog. Thank you. Appreciate it. In fact, I was like, you know what? I want you to write your name on it. I'm not cashing it in. I don't know. I think I've told this story before. I'll tell it again one last time. Since we're on to a really nice start here, let's do a little story time before we get into the show, Nick. For those that don't know, I was fortunate. I did play for a major leaguer for a few years. So I got to hear these stories all the time. And one of them was about Ricky Henderson. And this reminds me of Ricky Henderson a little bit, although much different. Ricky Henderson, for those that don't know, I don't know if he was the sharpest tool in the shed, as they say, but he did get the stolen base record. And as a part of the stolen base record, I think he got $1 million bonus. And the owner gave him, the check to go cash in the bank. And weeks went by, and the owner said, Ricky, what are you doing? He said, oh man, I framed that check. So yeah, Ricky never even cashed the check that he got. And I'm not cashing this check either. So shout out to the Bastard Wise Dog. Not even my favorite Ricky Henderson story, but I probably told him on the show before. So I digress. Who cares about Ricky Henderson at this moment? Somebody does, but I don't. Anyway, Nick, where do we start? I guess let's do the box score recap. We'll get into the game. And, for lack of a better term, let's get the show on the road.
You got one more super. This is a new one.
Oh, we got Pete Garden Tools again?
Yep.
Okay. Pete Garden Tools says Frosted Flakes is a second half cereal. Tito is a second half manager. This half belongs to the Reds. Also, Connor Joe, you're fired. Donald Trump. Connor Joe definitely was on the chopping block if a baseball left the yard in this game that happened to come off the bat of Francisco Lindor. So, but he did it. So I guess we act like it didn't happen. So there's that. Nick, we'll get into all that and more throughout the show. Let's get into the box score recap, and then let's jump into, I guess, the nuts and bolts of the game itself. Maybe what all this looks like, and then what we expect moving forward.
All right, Reds taking on the New York Mets. First game of the second half. Game 1 of 3 at Citi Field. Nick Lodolo against Sean Manaea. Manaea making his first start of the season coming off an oblique injury. Did pitch in relief in the final game of the first half. Mets jumped out to a 2-0 lead against Lodolo. Juan Soto hit a solo home run in the first, and then a leadoff walk in the second came around to score. Reds offense was shut down early against Manaea. He struck out the side in the first, and the Reds trailed 2-0 going into the fourth. But Austin Hayes hit a solo home run to lead off the fourth to make it a 2-1 game. That would be all the Reds would get in the fourth, but they did get Manaea out of the game. Reds went off against the Mets bullpen. Matt McClain crushed a 2-run homer in the fifth to put the Reds up 3-2. Hayes homered again in the sixth, as did Tyler Stevenson, and the Reds took a 6-2 lead. And then in the seventh, Matt McClain crushed a double, and Elly singled him home to make it 7-2. Nick Lodolo was absolutely dominant after the second inning. He retired 15 of the final 17 batters he faced The Mets did not get a runner past first base after the second inning against Lodolo. The Mets walked in a run in the 8th to make it an 8-2 Reds lead. Graham Ashcraft went 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 8th with the help of a really nice play by Matt McLain. That took us to the bottom of the 9th. Reds leading 8-2, looking very comfortable. Sam Moll looked like he was going to get the Reds an 8-2 win. Got a fly ball hit right to defensive replacement Connor Joe in right field. He dropped the fly ball. And then the Mets would score 2 runs, brought the tying run to the plate in Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor, by the way, an all-star, having a fantastic year. But Emilio Pagan was able to get him to hit a weak fly out, pop out, kind of in between somewhere there. Ended the game nonetheless. Reds win 8-4. Reds now 51-47. That matches their season high 4 games over 500. And Trace, you'll tell us about Deep South commodities in a second, but our deep drive of the day was Austin Hayes' home run. His second of the day, hit 107.3 off the bat, 401 feet. And as always, our deep drive of the day sponsored by Deep South Commodities.
Yeah, DSC, they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thank you to John, his team. Thank you to, hey, you know what? Thank you to Tyler Stevenson. You know, I mean, I tell you what, I was starting to get a little perturbed, Nick, at the fact that I see this guy walk up to the plate. I've Googled how big Tyler Stevenson is a few times. 6'4", I think it is. 6'3", 6'4", 225. And I'm thinking to myself, with all due respect, can we put a little bit of pop behind some of these pitches that are on the inner half? Maybe just rip a ball to left field at one point soon? That'd be great. I know he hits the ball well to right field. I get that. He's a good backside hitter. And you know what? He does hit the ball well to right field. But sometimes you got to let the thumper thump. And you know what? He did tonight. I give him credit. He turned and burned on the ball, and it was nice to see. McLain was maybe the most pleasant surprise of them all, just because of, you know, kind of like how low you are. You can only go up, but it's at some point you'd like to see it. And McLain certainly did that tonight. And maybe more importantly, Nick, not to run through every single thing that I have from a content perspective, but I just think it goes back to show you how important the number 2 hole hitter is in your lineup. It helps your whole flow offensively when your 2-hole produces. And you got to produce like that every single night? Of course not. But it sets the table. And TJ Friedel also set the table as well tonight by getting on base. But, you know, McLain, this is what this team needs to make the postseason, man. They have to have the middle of their diamond play really, really well. And I got to tell you, two of the 4 guys in the middle of the diamond have lived up to the hype, if you want to call it that, or even exceeded expectations. Friedel has exceeded expectations, and I would even say, can I go so far as to say that I think Elly has exceeded expectations? I think that's real. I think that's reasonable to say.
He's exceeded reasonable expectations on him. He's exceeded
I didn't say Facebook expectations.
He's exceeded every like zips and all that. He's far exceeded those projections. So,
but unfortunately, I guess the sad truth is that the second base position has so far underachieved, in the catcher position. You know, I guess Stevenson has also been a little bit of a disappointment. But you did get some production out of Trevino, and of course, if you think I'm going to go a show without saying Austin Wynn's name, you're wrong. But point is, if we can get Matt McLain back to what I don't know what he is, that's the crazy thing. You know, I could listen to an argument and someone say that 2023 was a fluke and that he's really not that good of a player. And I'd kind of be like, all right, I mean, I could buy that if you sell it well enough. And I could also buy the idea that he's just a young player that struggled a little bit and it can get back to looking like the guy he was of old. So I don't know kind of where you want to start. We don't have the rundown in front of me. I can't really even see you in my face. So, you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to let you kind of guide the way here on the topics of conversation.
Well, hitting home runs seems to help out your ball club quite a bit. Reds only went 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Mets had a great night. They were 3 for 5 with runners in scoring position, but that pesky little thing, when you hit the ball over the fence, it tends to negate almost everything else in the ball game. So I was going to see this team hit home runs. Really was interesting from Inside Edge. They do a lot of the help with like broadcasters with scouting and stuff. They put out something on Tyler Stevenson. He has 15 home runs on elevated fastball since the start of last season, 4th most in Major League Baseball. So he's definitely, man, elevated pitches, really able to do damage with them. So I guess maybe can we get a little bit more in the rest of his game? But it feels like that's almost sometimes some of the harder pitches to yank out of the ballpark. But yeah, I mean, Tyler Stevenson was maybe the Reds' best hitter in the second half last year. So good to see him first game of the second half do what he did. Obviously, a good Matt McClain completely changes the trajectory of this team. And as bad as Matt McClain looked at times, I mean, he's up to an 81 WRC plus, which is certainly nothing great, but that's not as bad as he's felt maybe at times. But Austin Hayes, I mean, 2 home runs from Austin Hayes. This is a guy that early in the year, like, wow, this guy's incredible. Kind of tailed off a little bit, coming back from his 7th trip on the IL. So good to see him in the first game. He's such a big difference maker for this team against left-handed pitching. And I mean, he just completely changes the entire lineup against left-handed pitching. That's his biggest, thing for me. And he keeps him honest. And he's heading behind Elly De La Cruz, who's going to bring in a lot of lefties to face Elly De La Cruz to turn him around. So Austin Hayes, just him being able to stay healthy and stay on the field, I mean, he's clearly a massive, massive difference maker for this lineup.
I really appreciated a couple things. One is what you just mentioned with Austin Hayes, but maybe as well is that Elly had some good at-bats in regards to from the right side of the plate. One of them, and I know that people, I was thinking to myself when he fisted that ball to right field, it's like that's the type of play that's not going to kind of show up on the StatCast era or the Baseball Savant page as something to maybe get excited about. But being able to put the ball in play, he seems to be continuing to get more and more comfortable in that role. And I feel like that's the next step to his greatness. That is already a greatness, to be honest. I think he's already getting to the point where you could say that he's one of the better players in the league. To be clear, I'm not trying to say greatness is in like Hall of Fame type stuff, but I thought that was impressive off the top of my head. And I was thinking to myself today as well with when you're watching Hayes, if this team were to buy and they got themselves in a position where they said, okay, we can feel comfortable doing this, adding another Austin Hayes type bat to this lineup for left-handed pitching specifically feels like what they're kind of missing or what they would need to get into a spot where you feel good about it, because there's clearly a hole still there. Right field is a problem against left-handed pitching. I see people obviously in the chat, and I had some people even text me today when the lineup came out. It's like, Will Benson, I know he doesn't hit left-handed pitchers. Like, let's be very clear. Will Benson got himself in a tough spot last year, and I think that, and as well as you said this too, Nick, if you put guys in positions where they're not going to succeed a whole lot time and time again, then eventually, I guess what I'm getting at is like it can also start to bleed into other parts of their game. And I hope that we use Will Benson where Will Benson can be successful, which is against right-handed pitching, and that's primarily it. The issue is there's not a Will Benson for the opposite in regards to left-handed pitching. So I don't know. Connor Joe, Espinal, and we're in a weird spot, Nick. We gotta play another week before I get super passionate one way or the other. But I would love nothing more for this city than this team to get hot and give themselves a chance to even make the postseason. As stupid as that sounds, and I don't mean to be a cop out and sound like someone that's happy with losing. I'm just saying I just want to be relevant, man. Could you even get me into a postseason run where we got a week worth of baseball, Nick, where it felt like life and death? That would be awesome. And I hope we can get ourselves into that spot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's a weird roster. It's almost like if you go out and you try to add an outfielder, you almost have to subtract. Like that is almost the one spot where you have to almost send someone out. Whether you trade Jake Fraley, whether you trade Will Benson, whether you trade one of the platoon bats that kind of make it difficult when you're going up against a lefty. It kind of feels like you'd have to do that because it makes this roster really hard to maneuver around without doing that. And then obviously you could have an injury and then could fix some of it. But that's kind of the interesting piece there. I still think though the bullpen for me is by far and away the biggest need for this team, because there's not enough options there. There's enough options with the offense that you can kind of plug and play. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them find a right-handed bat. It doesn't have to even be someone spectacular. I don't think it just has to be. It just has to be like you said, almost a clone of Austin Hayes. Yeah. Maybe even lesser.
Even lesser. Like would a Will Benson? I think Will Benson's lesser than Austin Hayes, right? I would consider that.
Yeah, I mean the player that comes to mind, just obviously living in Cleveland and comes with Terry Francona was the Cleveland Indians in 2016 went out and got a guy named Brandon Geyer. Probably a lot of people have no idea who he was, but go look up at that guy's splits. Crushed lefties, couldn't hit right-handed pitching really to save his life. Is there a guy like that at the deadline? Rob Refsnyder is the one that I think comes to mind the most, but the Red Sox have played really, really well, and I don't think they're probably looking to ship away a player that fits that role well for them. They have a lot of left-handed bats as well that need platooned. But there's got to be someone out there, and again, I could go through a list, but I mean, there's so many of those type of players, even like a Phil Irvin. Can we find a 2019 Phil Irvin out there? I mean, Phil Irvin was great in 2019. He had a good run. He hit lefties well. It doesn't have to be someone spectacular, but that should be an attainable piece. I'd like to see that, and then I'd like to see them just get a bunch of bullpen help if they're buying.
Phil Irvin, what a pull that is. Let's pull a Jerry Harrison Jr. while we're at it. Just keep going down memory lane here on Chatterbox Reds. I as long as we don't get I can't. Why can't I think of the poor guy's name off the top of my head? Was it Cabrera? Who was the guy that basically went like 0 for 30? Well, you're gonna know this because it was
Asdrubal Cabrera.
Asdrubal Cabrera. What a wild thing to do, by the way. I mean, that's almost impossible, is to go 0 for whatever he was, 24, 0 for 26, something to just
Trace.
Impossible.
You got to put some respect to the name of Phil Irvin here, okay? Phil Irvin in 2019. He had 95 plate appearances against left-handed pitching. My guy hit 349 with a 411 on base percentage and an OPS over 1,000 against left-handed pitching. Yeah, he would. I mean, would you take that right now?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, that's one of the best hitters on this base.
Randall Gritchick, that was a good name in the chat. That's exactly the kind of player I'm talking about. Yeah.
So we definitely kind of have exhausted that subject in regards to where we feel like we need. If the bullpen hasn't showcased itself yet in regards to needing help, then I don't know what to tell you. You've not watched the games. I mean, it's just you don't feel comfortable. Even Emilio Pagan, who's done everything that he's probably supposed to do this year, and I'm not trying to say that you can't trust him at all, but like that's our shutdown guy. Is Emilio Pagan right now. I think if you told me that Emilio Pagan was slotted in as like your 7th inning guy, where you're kind of in a weird spot where you gotta kind of get to your setup and closer, and you told me, hey, you got Emilio Pagan, I'd be like, that's fantastic. But as soon as you're starting to try to convince me that that's supposed to be your guy, and the only reason I'm concerned of it, Nick, is because it feels like he, and again, this is where the analytic community could possibly maybe crush me because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but watching it with the naked eye, it feels like he falls behind in counts a lot. It feels like he has walked some guys lately that to be frank with you, I mean, at some point it's going to bite us. Hasn't yet. But it just doesn't feel like the Reds bullpen is even remotely close to a postseason type of bullpen. Now, you can make the case that there's every other team in the league that probably thinks their bullpen isn't good enough either. But the good news is, Nick, I think what they need to buy is clear. That's fair, right? It's not like they have 4 or 5 areas that any given night might work, might not. It's like these are clearly the holes.
Yeah, I think I'd feel a lot better about Emilio Pagan if there was a really good setup man. I think I'm fine with him as a closer. I don't necessarily, but it's when you have to go through Ashcraft, who's kind of shaky right now. So Tony Santiago, who's been shaky. You don't have a lefty that you're confident at all in right now. those things make Pagan feel worse to me. If I had some of those things shirt up, I don't know if I'm as worried about Pagan, because I don't. Is Pagan really, try to just fast forward the rest of the season? How many saves is Pagan gonna blow above the average closer? I don't think it's that many. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think that. I don't see that is a massive liability, or at least a liability that I'm worth pushing my chips in for.
I would say, okay, that's fine. If you want to go closer by committee, I could say a Pagan could be a part of that. Sure. I just don't know if I don't know how serious of a baseball team this is if we're going to continue to say that our shutdown guy is Pagan. Now, again, he doesn't deserve me to say that. It just feels like there's going to come a time where it's a one-run game and you have to have the win and you're going against the heart of the order and you walk the first guy, Nick, and that is just not going to work out. Now, I don't think the Reds are even going to go get a bullpen guy that's going to kick him out of that spot. And he's deserved to stay in that spot, to be very clear. I'm just more or less trying to say this is my illustration of saying that when you think Emilio Pagan is by far and away one of your better relievers, you need some help in that area. And I know that sounds very, very backhanded and slighted towards Pagan, and I don't mean it that way at all. I'm just trying to showcase, if you looked at another team's bullpen and you've seen what we have, it's pretty evident. You'd be like, well, if we could maybe get the starter out in the fifth inning, we'd have a pretty good shot at trying to kind of make hay here. But we'll see.
You want to talk about 988?
Yeah, no doubt. 988, text or call, day or night. I'll say, I mean, obviously it's a serious topic, right? Like 988 is very, very serious topic. But, I had someone the other day even tell me like, hey, appreciate the 988 stuff. And it's hard to really be like, I don't know if they were suggesting that they needed that resource and blah, blah, blah. Point is, though, is that I do love the fact that the community embraces the number. We use it in jest. We kind of make lighthearted at it a good amount of the times, but you just never know. You never know what people are going through at certain times in their lives. So please, as always, remember life's better with you in it. Life's better with you in it. Life's hard too. There are some really, really tough times in life, and you got to face the fire. And it's okay if you need some help. And if you are in a spot where you need some help, you can always text and/or call. 988 is confidential support 24/7. So thank you to the Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation for doing the best work they can to making sure people get the help when they need it the most. All right. We have some super chats I also want to do here really quick, Nick. And that's one thing that I actually can do because I have a computer in front of me that does work for that. Justin Edgel says, congratulations to Rico Abreu on the night before King's Royal victory. Yeah, I'm high. I think he's high on life. That's what he's getting at. As far as what he's talking about right now, I'm not totally sure. So if you could help me, that'd be great.
All right.
No, you don't know? Okay.
I have no idea.
All right.
No idea.
Well, I can't really see. You got to remember that. I'm over here. I'm looking way right to get your reaction. Scott, he says the Reds would need Clace and Duran before I take their pen seriously.
Class
I don't
A.
want Class A, excuse me. Yeah, Class A from Cleveland. My bad. I don't want Pagan coming out in Philly in round one to face Harper and Castellanos. Castellanos, of all the guys, that's who you're taking out of your team. You don't want to say Schwarber or somebody. I know, no disrespect to Castellanos, but I get it. He can hit a big home run as well. Nobody would be comfortable with that.
I'd be comfortable with Pagan against Castellanos.
I knew you were going to do that. Okay, I knew you were going to do that. You're going to sit here and clown him. But my point is that he's trying to illustrate a point that is very, very valid. That's all.
I don't know. I'm not going out and getting a blockbuster reliever. I'm not sending out 5 prospects to go get a reliever with a couple years of control. I mean, look at what the Look at what was given up for Tanner Scott. Like, that's just I'm good with going out and giving up some prospects for relievers, but I'm not going out and getting the top end closer. I just don't think it's worth it for relievers.
Yeah, I mean, it's all relative, Nick. It's hard to know what is worth something until you have it, and then you don't know. I mean, it's just your mind would change on that, and I know you can't guarantee it, so that's why you don't want to do it. But I mean, if I told you you're going to get a reliever and you're going to sneak into the postseason, and then that reliever is going to be a shutdown guy and get you to a spot you never seen as a fan before, then yeah, you trade whatever it took to get him. But I get it. You don't want to take the high risk play. But you know what else? I mean, we got to also understand that at some point, some of these prospects, I'm not saying all of them. I mean, are you going to go trade Cam Colliers of the world, Sal Stewarts of the world? What? Obviously, can't use Burns anymore, or Rhett Lauder anymore, but because they came to the big leagues, I guess if you want to consider him that. You're going to trade Duno for a reliever? No, I don't think you would. But I mean, if you can package a couple lower level guys that are lottery tickets, Nick, then so be it. And I think that's what you're probably going to do anyways. If a team's going to be asking for high level prospects for any reliever outside of, and let's also be very clear, there's a pretty high likelihood that if you have a really, really high end reliever, the teams that are, looking to win a World Series are probably going to be the teams that are going to be offering a significant amount more than the Cincinnati Reds. So they're not even a realistic chance anyways.
Last year, Tanner Scott, the Padres traded for him. They gave up their number 2 prospect, their number 4 prospect, and their number 5 prospect, and their number 24 prospect. So if you want Duran or Class A, that's probably close to the package you're giving up. Multiple years of control. I mean, you're giving up Duno. You're giving up Sal Stewart. So if you really want to go get Class A, you're giving up Sal Stewart for him. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not interested in those type of guys.
Yeah, that's not happening. The Reds aren't going to do that.
I don't think so. I don't think they'd be that stupid.
If they do, I'll quit being a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, just being honest. I mean, if we're going to trade Sal Stewart for a reliever, I mean, he better have, like, jokingly, but he better have like 6 years of team control left and should be showcasing that he's one of the best relievers in the game. So, I mean, how valuable are closers in general to baseball? Like, that's the other argument that you can make is, like, in the grand scheme of things, how many times is an elite closer versus a Emilio Pagan-esque type closer going to make a difference? I think it does make a difference if you're playing in October, but if you're telling me that's going to be the difference between making the postseason and not making the postseason, I don't know if I'm signing up for that.
Yeah, so I don't think that it brings that many more wins, if any, than Pagan.
Yeah, I think it does matter in the postseason though, because I think that it's one of those situations where the psychological factor starts to play a role.
It does.
Big moments.
It does, but there's been a lot of elite closers that have struggled to the play. I mean, Class A is the best example. The guy that we're talking about right now. I mean, he was had maybe arguably the best season ever for a closer last year, and they couldn't even use him at the end of the ALCS because it fell apart that quickly for him.
That's fair. Relievers are incredibly, incredibly fickle. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not with you. I am. I'm just trying to make a case that they're going to clearly have to go get some bullpen help, even if it's just depth. If you want to, I'll sign on. I'll sign on to this, Nick. I'll sign on to the idea that they need to go get 3 guys that are similar to Pagan.
Yeah. Honestly, there's Sam Moll, like Sam Moll in 2023. Sam Moll in 2023 was elite for the Reds.
He was great. Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of move you want to make.
Yeah, but you gave up nothing for him almost. I mean,
so you give Joe Boyle. I mean,
he was a lottery ticket though. For me.
I'm comfortable. I wouldn't say Joe Boyle's nothing, but I'm comfortable with that kind of move for a reliever. I'm not comfortable giving up 3 top 7 prospects to go get a closer.
Yeah. Boyle was also a guy that was going to require a significant amount of development And that's where you got to ask the question is, would he have had success with the Reds? I'm not trying to downplay the Reds' ability to develop guys, but
he's the clear guy that has to find the perfect match to make him work. Like the Reds have done really good, I think, overall with pitching development.
they have, yes.
But they're not going to fix everyone. And some organizations are going to work better with others. He, I think, could kind of run his course. So I'm never going to lose any sleep over Joe Boyle.
All right. Anything else that you can think
talk
of?
about Nick Lodolo?
Yeah,
pretty good start tonight.
He's been, and again, I'll continue to say it every single start, and I'm going to try to keep pushing this along. He has been, in my opinion, by far the most pleasant surprise of this entire season. And I say that knowing how good Andrew Abbott has been. And some people are going to say, well, that's a ridiculous statement when you factor in what Andrew Abbott has done. My thought is that I've seen Andrew Abbott have some sustainability. Yes, he's worn down at the end of the season, but he has not been in a situation where you would call him made of glass or injury prone or whatever term you want to use. That is, in my opinion, by far and away the most, what would be the right word? The most thankful thing that I have towards Nick Lodolo. I don't think anyone that watched Nick Lodolo throw the baseball at any point ever thought to themselves that he didn't have this type of season in him. And he's not having to be very clear, he's not like he's going to win a Cy Young, but he's a consistent, reliable left-handed arm, and those don't grow on trees. And I got news for you. If he's able to stay healthy and continue to get better and better, because guys do get better, guys do develop in this league, and they will start to gain some confidence and get in a rhythm and figure out what works for them and what doesn't work for them. But if you get hurt and you have setbacks, what has basically been, every other seemingly decent start to Nick Lodolo's career, it's hard to regain that and rekindle that. So I'm thankful. Of all the things, I am very thankful that Nick Lodolo has been able to continue to throw the baseball without, again, knocking on wood here, without being on the injured list.
Yeah. How about Lodolo? I mean, he's been pretty consistent this year, too. He's made 20 starts, and in 17 of those starts, he's allowed 3 earned runs or less. One, he allowed 4. The other 2 were 6. So, I mean, he's almost every single time he's taken the ball has given the Reds a chance to win. He's just been his consistency is maybe the thing that's been the biggest kind of surprise to me, other than I think the health, just being able to take the ball every 5th day. But yeah, I mean, this team is nowhere without the season that Nick Lodolo's had. And, he is now, I think, 1 start away from tying his career high. So you will have to kind of watch how he handles it down the stretch, because we've never seen Nick Lodolo pitch this many games in a season. But I mean, if you I would have easily signed up for this so far this year.
Yeah, you know what he did a few times tonight that I thought was intelligent was the ballpark plays pretty big, and he let guys just go at it. Like, here you go, here it is, hit it. And I think that's a wise move in certain situations. Unfortunately for our pitchers, they don't get the benefit of the doubt to be able to do that more times than not, especially with the park that we play in. So, we continue to say this, and I guess I'll say it again, Nick. This team feels like it's built to play in parks that are tough to hit home runs in. And oddly enough, they hit home runs in these damn parks. It doesn't make any sense. I can't make it make sense. But they go out to humongous fields, and they find a way to scrap runs across, and their pitchers do well and let guys put the ball in play. And if you don't have Connor Joe in right field, outside of that, I feel comfortable for most people going and catching a baseball. So, again, I don't want to be too over the top with Nick Lodolo and sit here and act like he's, going to win a Cy Young. But I continue to say he has been an incredible bright spot. And not to sit here and take a show where we should be excited and talk about the great things that we watched tonight. But I think it's pretty wise and important also to bring up the fact that it's also important that these guys continue to play well, especially as we get closer and closer to this deadline, to where if things don't go well for whatever reason, let's face it, there's some recency bias that goes into these trades sometimes. Austin Hayes gets on a tear for the next 2 weeks, and you got Nick Lodolo who throws a couple of gems and stays healthy. Those things matter, Nick. I think they do at least.
Yeah, they do. That kind of brings us right into a super chat here that kind of maybe next point of discussion here. Daniel Myers, we should be sellers at the deadline. There's no point to buy to lose in the playoffs, even if we make it that far in the season. Yeah. That's a good question. So here's how my stance on this. I'm not going all in when the World Series odds are that low. But look, if you could tell me, you could guarantee me that the Reds make the playoffs, I'd be willing to do a lot. Because you get in the playoffs, it is a crapshoot and anyone gets a chance. But you have to get into the playoffs. And, I mean, there's just been a lot of teams that have thought they were there, and then they go out and they the Pirates last year, I think a lot of people forget the Pirates were buyers last year. That sent them nowhere. The Angels 2 years ago, famously. Right. It's just I would give up a lot to get into the playoffs, but when my odds are 10-15% to get to them, I don't know. That's where you lose me. I think a lot of people forgot how ugly 2015 to 2019 was, because the Reds have been, pretty decent the last 4 or 5 years. If the Reds finish out a winning season, it'll be 4 winning seasons in 6 years, but they haven't really had anything to show for it. 2015 to 2019 was dark time for Reds baseball, and there was no hope. I mean, the team was out of it every year by June. And if you put all your eggs in your basket and you never get anywhere, as a small market team, the reality is you'll find yourself right back down there. And that's a real concern for me as well, that you kind of have to do two things at once here.
I'm with you. I appreciate Daniel's point, because I think that there is something that goes to the idea that the whole goal is to win the World Series. If you don't win the World Series, then inevitably you're going to be frustrated at some point. The issue that lies there is that we are humans, and we do appreciate some things, even if it's not all the way. I think that if someone gave you, again, $10,000, you'd be incredibly happy, even though maybe somebody else gets 50. If you made the postseason with this franchise, it sounds absurd to say, man, but you would be treated like a team that won the World Series in other cities right now. If you won a playoff series, to be clear, not just making the postseason, but if you won a postseason series, you'd be treated like royalty. In regards to making that happen, I think that's where the debate comes in at, because nothing you could do at the deadline, in my opinion, guarantees anything. And they've dug themselves such a hole here in regards to all these teams being in front of them. And they also, to be very clear, and again, these schedule things, I guess at some point you just stop caring about what the schedule looks like, because ultimately it seems like they play better against these teams that are good anyways, Nick. I don't know. I'm not trying to be too much of a Debbie Downer here, but when you do look at the schedule, it's very obvious they have, one of the toughest schedules in all of Major League Baseball that has already been illustrated. And you look at, some of these teams are trying to catch, and they don't have nearly the road to haul. But, I hesitantly say that because this team that we're currently watching has seemed to have that on an opposite of what you think would happen. So I don't know, Nick. I don't hate that, but I also say that's a little absurd to say based off the fact that we have not won anything for so long.
My last point to kind of illustrate where I'm at, where I might just get into the playoffs, but you have to get there. That's the hard part. So last year, the Orioles going into the playoffs, they had a 5.2% chance of winning the World Series. The Tigers were at 2.6. That was the lowest of any team. Like, the Orioles did everything right. I mean, like last year's Orioles team feels in some regards, is it fair to say, close to the ceiling of what the Reds could be? And they had a 5% chance of winning the World Series. The Reds are never going to get higher than 8% probably. So that's why I'm like, if you're there, right, it's not that big of a leap between being the last team in the dance and being the top small market team in the playoffs. You're still going to be a long shot no matter what. That's just the reality of it.
It definitely feels like for the Reds to be one of the best teams in baseball, it's like hitting some like 12 leg parlay. You know, they quite literally have to hit on every single draft pick and every single prospect for them to get enough of a group of guys to come through at the same time with the same service time to be able to get in a position where you're like, yeah, this team's one of the best teams in all of baseball. Now, I actually think, Nick, that could change. Maybe I'm being completely what would be the right word? Like negligent in saying that I think the CBA this upcoming time is going to change some things, and maybe I'm an idiot. And I hope that I am right, because I do think Major League Baseball needs some help in this regard. I'm not there yet. If you give me, I think it's fair to ask for a week before you get a hard stance on buying or selling. But I will say I have a hard stance on doing one or the other. That's what I do have. Yeah. So you have to get something for Martinez. You have to get something for Hayes. If there's anyone that's interested in Lodolo and there is something to gain back for what I would even say, and people are going to hate me for saying this, but I would say for that Duno, Cam Collier, Sal Stewart's going to get here a little quicker, I think, maybe than those other guys. Maybe not. But that next kind of wave of guys, I would like to start adding some more pieces to that. So when you could say this younger core that we currently have is in their prime of our service time, then maybe you have some pieces there that can help push them over the top. I watch this baseball team way too much to think to myself that we would be, what would be the term to use? Like that we would be missing an opportunity with this group. Do I think this group's capable of getting hot and making a run? Yeah, they have some really streaky guys that might play unbelievably well. But I don't think that their record is a fluke, if that makes sense. They're not supposed to be 10 games over 500, and they had some bad happen chance, and now it's saying they're only 4 games over 500. So yeah, I guess that's where I stand.
Yeah. I mean, I think this team gave away a bunch of games too. I mean, it's a weird spot because I think this team is at least as good as their record, but the problem just continues to be that the National League's just been better than anyone thought. That's the hardest part of this whole thing is just, yeah. I mean,
they played an easy schedule too, Nick. Like I don't want to sit here and keep beating that drum, but they really did. I mean, they have played an easy schedule up to this point, and maybe I'll be completely wrong in saying this because they have a tough schedule ahead. But you keep saying that you think they have 8 days or whatever. Nick, I get that you got to kind of make a decision. You got to start making some calls. I think you make calls for both. I think you're already making calls for both personally, obviously buying and selling. I'd like to see them play a couple games in that Dodger series before I buy or sell. Like, with all due respect, the Dodgers, we can say whatever we want about them. I'm just saying, when you start to play really good teams and if the Dodgers were to sweep you right when you're just freshly sold some guys, that would be disheartening to me. So yeah, Nick Krall is going to have to do this at the midnight hour, I think, personally, because of the teams they play. That's maybe I'm looking at that.
They should be making calls for both sides right now, no question about it. And I would think that they're having some feelers out there now. But I do think when you get to like that Sunday night, you got to kind of have some sort of idea of your direction. Now that could change, but you got to kind of get committed at some point.
I get that. I get that. I think you can be committed on both sides, and you can slow play it until you get to the day before the deadline, in my opinion, and then you can go all out one way or the other. I think. I mean, how many of these deals, I guess, are going to get across the finish line 3 or 4 days before? I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Well, the teams are all taking offers, so it's kind of hard to be throwing your offer in there when you haven't made a decision. Like, you got some of these do materialize literally out of thin air, but usually the ones that materialize out of thin air is because a team had another deal that fell through.
That's fair. That's a good point. We'll see. I mean, ultimately, we didn't do anything last year, so I don't want to say we have a good tell on what the Reds are going to do, but we'll find out soon.
Portis erasure. Come on.
What'd you say?
Ovis Portis erasure from Trace Fowler.
Yeah. Well, what do you want me to say to that?
That was a joke. They didn't do anything.
All right, well, they have to do something. That's all. They can't sit on their hands again. So if they do, they're going to get hated by everybody, which is funny to me, actually. You're gonna they could sell at the deadline, and everyone's going to call them cheap, and that they're disgusting. They're a terrible franchise. They don't want to win. They don't care about winning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't sell anything at all, you're going to have what I would call the fans that are forward-thinking fans that are looking at the 40 mans, and they're looking at the classes that are coming up. They're going to be pissed because they're saying you're basically wasting opportunities on getting something back for all of these expiring players. And if they don't do anything at all, then everyone's pissed at them. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and then sure enough, if they buy and then it goes south right away in the second half,
Yeah,
right
they didn't buy the right guys.
Yeah, they didn't commit enough. They didn't give up enough prospects. And
right, that's fair. Well,
a lot of the reality is, I hate to say this, the reality is a lot of it's luck over a 2 month. I mean, a lot of it is like you're trying to put yourself in the best position where you look at the data and your odds and all of that, but then you throw a lot of it out the window because stupid things can happen in this game over a 2-month stretch. Right. I mean, you could put all your chips in right, and the team just comes out and plays flat for 2 weeks and they're out of the race. Or you could maybe make some dumb moves and you get lucky because your team gets hot and they play really well. So it's the hard reality of when you're one of the teams fighting for one of these last spots. It's really, as much as anything, just about how does it go? How well did your team play over a small sample?
Yeah. Be interesting. I don't know. I mean, this is all a moot point. This podcast, this diet, this kind of debate on what they can and can't do will all be a moot point in maybe 7 or 8 days, because they're going to make a one-way run at this thing, whether they win 6 or 7 of them in a row, or maybe they lose 6 or 7 of them in a row. It makes this whole thing just kind of invalid. So time will tell. Time will tell. Nick, any final things that you can think of here before we run off into the sunset? We obviously will do our show on Sunday night. But nice to see you again. Hopefully I'll get my computer back and works. And I think I'm going to be able to do a better job on this show, because I don't know if you can tell. And I know that you're this way, because I've noticed when we do shows and things aren't going the right way for you, I'm always watching you, and you're always just kind of like trying to grind through it. I got to tell you, Nick, my brain is not firing on all cylinders when I do not have my setup the way that it's supposed to. I mean, I am out here just staring at a 15-second delay in front of me. I got you way over there to my right. I got the chat. That's not my traditional spot. We're grinding through it. We're like we're Garrett Hampson in it right now.
There we go. I got a little Reds MiLB and what's going on tomorrow. Don't have any graphics or anything for it, but we'll run through that. Louisville, they lost 3-2 to St. Paul. Good start, though, from Chase Petty. Good to see. He had been scuffling 5 innings. Just gave up just gave up 2 runs today. Struck out 4, only 1 walk. Another good outing from Connor Phillips. He's been pitching really well through a scoreless inning. Did walk 1, but struck out 2. No hits allowed. Buck Farmer made his AAA debut. He threw a scoreless inning. Zach Maxwell gave up a run. And then Blake Dunn extended his on-base streak to, I think, like 35 games. He's been playing really well, 2 for 4. CES 0 for 4. Reese Hines 2 for 3 at the walk. And then Sal Stewart made his AAA debut. He went 1 for 4. Hector Rodriguez 0 for 4. Down at AA, Chattanooga, they lost 16-3 to Pensacola. Edwin Arroyo 1 for 5 with a stolen base. Leo Balcazar had 3 hits today. Cam Collier 0 for 4. Easton Sikorsky, I didn't even see this. He must have got promoted. Struggled to give up 4 runs in an inning and 2/3 of work. We have some other action. At Dayton, they fell 5-4 to Great Lakes. Carlos Sanchez stayed hot. He was 2 for 5 with a double in that one. And then Daytona, they fell 8-6 to Fort Myers. Alfredo Duno, 2 for 3, hit his 8th home run of the season. Sammy Stafora was 0 for 3. Currently in action, the ACL Reds leading the ACL Guardians 5-1. And Sheng-In Lin, 4 shutout innings, 1 hit, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Get it done. Reds back at it on Saturday. Trace, a 4:10 start time. Mets are having some sort of ceremony. They're inducting someone in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I don't remember who.
Frank the
So
Tank.
David Wright. I
David
think
Wright.
is having us. So they said on the broadcast 4:10 start time is a loose start time tomorrow, so it might be a lot later than that. Nick Martinez against Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes looked like a pretty good signing for the Mets, I must say. They signed him. He had been a reliever exclusively since 2019. They signed him to a 3-year, $38 million contract. He's pitched really well, 8-4, 3.31 ERA. Hasn't gone deep, though. Hasn't gone past 5 1/3 over his last 6 starts. He is at 103 innings pitched. Previous MLB career high was 70. So he's kind of in some uncharted territory. Not pitched well against the Reds. Career 8.40 ERA in 12 games. Last and only times Holmes started against the Reds was the final day in 2018. So it's been a minute. Martinez coming off his last start against the Rockies, pretty solid, 5 1/3, 2 runs. Martinez only has 1 career start against the Mets. Last year gave up 5 runs in 5 innings of work. So find a way tomorrow.
Find a way to win tomorrow. If they can find a way to win tomorrow, that gives them a chance to win 3 in a row on Sunday. That's what matters the most. The chat wants me to know that it is moot, not mute. Maybe I did say mute. I don't know what I was saying half this show. I also don't know what the joke you were making to me earlier was. That flew over my head.
Ovis Portis.
Yeah, I was trying to process that in my brain.
Lucas Sims trade. That was the only trade. Remember we did the 4-hour trade deadline special?
Yeah, we got Ovis Portis.
Lucas Sims was traded at like 2:10. I started at 2. I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be a day, man. We're gonna have some trades. And then I'm on there 4 hours later, and that was the entire extent of the show.
Yeah, that was a good show, though. I'm pretty sure I remember
planning on doing something again. Those looking ahead, those looking to plan on doing something. I'm not going to commit to anything because we're going to see where we're at because there's no point in committing to anything. So I'll tell you when we get closer. Did you want to say anything about Chatterbox Reds night?
Yes. One thing I do want to say about Chatterbox Reds night, that is going to be on the 29th. I do have some tickets in the currently in the Chatterbox Sports shop. Here's the thing, though. I was talking to Sean today, Chatterbox partner here. Considering we're going to go to Smoke Justice, I'm going to make an executive decision here. There are some people that already obviously bought tickets. I will probably more or less just send them an email, refund them, and then let them basically repurchase the new tickets. My thought is this. We're going to Smoke Justice. Shout out to them, and thank you for them for jumping on the show and sponsoring us. We're going to go to Smoke Justice before the game on the 29th against the Dodgers of this month. To be clear. And then we're going to hang out, do a pregame show, and then we're going to walk over, obviously, to Great American Ballpark. The idea was to get tickets. It's also 3-2-1 night. So I'm just saying, if we could use our brains here, we're going to Smoke Justice before the game. It's 3-2-1 night. I think having people or expecting people to pay for club seats I get it, you get all the food you want. But the problem is maybe we make it a little more economical. I don't know exactly, to be clear, Nick, where these tickets are going to be. I'll probably make that decision on Monday. But on Monday, I'm asking for a big favor here. I want to pack Smoke Justice out and meet as many of you as we possibly can, and then walk over. I don't know if it's going to be the moon deck. I don't know if we sit down the field box, but something a little more realistic in regards to price point on a ticket to maybe make it a little more for Trace maybe 10, 15 years ago or whatever it would have been when I was just out of college. Got to tell you, Nick, I could have loved our show more than anything in the world, but there was just no chance your boy could have gotten myself a club ticket, especially when, 90% of the year you can go down there for $5. I say that little jokingly, of course. But regardless, we're going to make some ticket prices a little more affordable so we can go out there and sit together and enjoy the game and have some fun. So, and also to be clear, you're welcome to get your own ticket or get a ticket to wherever you want to sit, and then just come over to Smoke Justice before and hang out there. So it's not like you have to buy the tickets through us, but we want to pack Smoke Justice that night. For those that are listening in podcast form, again, please show up 29th, Smoke Justice before the game. We'll have more and more clear details on times when we get there. But if you want to try to pencil that into the calendar now, we would very much appreciate it. That would mean a lot to me if we can pack that place and really a sponsor that took a chance on us, showcase that, people actually do watch this show. People actually do care about Chatterbox Reds, and people do listen. So, who knows? Maybe it'll just be me and you down there, Nick. I don't know.
Tuesday, the 29th. I think you might have said Monday.
Yeah, to be clear, Monday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse anyone. This Monday, I will have new tickets into the store for a different section, just making it a little more realistic for the vast majority of people to probably,
But it's
go.
Tuesday, the 29th is the night, and Smoke Justice is in Covington. You can walk to the stadium from their location, correct?
Correct. It's just less than a mile away from the stadium. I think it's like maybe 6 or 7/10 of a mile. You walk right across the bridge. Pretty cool little thing. But Smoke Justice is just in Covington, and hopefully we'll see you there. But moot, that might be I'm going to try to figure out a way to get a moot point in there at some point. Someone wiser than me would have figured out a way to do it. But if you're looking for me to dunk a basketball, I don't know how to do that tonight. I guess I could try to do. We can do the split screen, whatever. I just say if you haven't already, like the stream on your way out. We appreciate you. We love you. My setup's gross and disgusting, and I don't know how to do anything around here, but I do know how to dunk a basketball because I'm an athlete. At least I think I am one. And it's a little bit of a joke for those that think I'm being serious. I don't want people to think that I'm like some. Well, the word that came to mind was D-bag, but that's here nor there. Kid show. All right. I am going to move my camera over there, and I guess that's just the way we're going to do it. So, like the stream, okay? Like the stream. Go Reds. Love you. Athlete.